You're listening to the QC Step Podcast, a podcast to give you the information and the skills that you need to find a job, keep that job, and become a valuable employee. My name is Corey Finneran, and I am a transition specialist with the STEP program, and welcome to the 13th episode of the QC Step Podcast. On this episode, you'll hear the current job leads. I will play an interview that I did with someone that turned a volunteer position into an employer-paid position, and then you'll hear the QCStep.com tip of the week. Janine Olson will be giving us the tip of the week on this episode, and the title of it is Mentally Preparing Yourself for an Interview. So let's take a look at this week's job leads. And here are the job openings for the week of December 10th, 2012. These weekly job leads will be posted at QCStep.com on Monday mornings, and you can find the links to the online applications for some of these openings. As I mentioned last week, there just aren't that many businesses that are hiring right now. We're kind of past the busy time where most of the businesses did hire in October, early November for the holidays, and right now things are going to start slowing down. There aren't that many job leads this week, but like I mentioned last week, a lot of the fast food restaurants are going to be hiring year-round because of their high turnover. So even though they're not listed on our website, and I won't give you those job leads right now because I don't know them, because I tell students that pretty much every fast food business is hiring or will soon be hiring. So be sure and check with those. I do have two leads here for high school students. The Lowe's in Moline, they're looking for a load puller and customer service associate, and you have to be 18 to apply there, so probably our seniors. And there's the link to the online application on our site. And then the CVS in Milan is looking for a clerk/cashier, and you can apply online through our website. And then we have two job leads for our graduates. Coca-Cola is looking for order builders, which is a loader, basically, and the online application is linked on our site. And then Batteries Plus in Moline is looking for sales or store associates, and you need a high school diploma for that position. And again, the link to the online application is on our site. All those links are on the blog post Job Leads, December 10th, 2012. Many of you that are watching or listening to this podcast episode are working in a training position or maybe doing some volunteer work. Last week, I had the opportunity to interview someone that was in a work program when he was in high school, and this is Bruce. Bruce and his brother Teddy, they worked at a video store, and when the video store went out of business, they decided to do some volunteer work. In this interview, you'll hear Bruce and his mother Consuelo, and I started things off by asking Bruce why he decided to work a volunteer job after he lost the job at the video store.
Well, I was looking to do outside of the house.
You were looking for something to do outside of the house. Bruce and Teddy didn't go out and just get one volunteer job. They actually worked at a couple different places.
The library, and the coffee zoo, and the junk store.
Bruce and Teddy worked volunteer jobs cleaning outside, picking up trash and litter, and they formed a business, and they called themselves
Green Gophers.
Clean Green Gophers.
We signed up at the library, and we were, I was always looking for other opportunities, and we found the zoo, Coffee Zoo. We volunteered there, and then I was looking for something else to do, and we started volunteering at this thrift store that opened near where we used to live.
So while Bruce and Teddy were volunteering at the thrift shop, their employer saw that they were good workers, and they ended up offering them paid positions. And this was a position that was created. It didn't exist ahead of time. And Bruce and Teddy are now responsible for delivering mail and supplies to the agency's 6 different sites.
They sat us down, and there were like 3 or 4 people there, and they interviewed us. And then they took us on a trial run because they wanted to know how the boys, they don't know. I mean, they sort of knew, but didn't really know how the boys would do, doing the run. So we did an actual run with one of their employees. They have like 6 sites that we go to. And we deliver, like Bruce says, we deliver the mail. And then we go to Sam's Club and pick up whatever necessary, what they need. Paper towels, toilet paper. Sometimes we pick up baby diapers because the shelter has babies there. So that kind of thing.
And to wrap things up, I asked Consuelo why this agency decided to create these positions for Bruce and Teddy.
When we were on that trial run with this is the lady that became our supervisor, she saw how they were, that they were very friendly, that they enjoyed taking rides in the car. They enjoyed looking out and, commenting on what they saw out there. They were very friendly when they entered the sites that we delivered to. They were, very appropriate. They said hello, they said thank you, they held the door. All of these things were really important to her. And so when we stopped the run, when she stopped, she said, I think you guys can handle this. Are you interested? And naturally I said, yes. So that was the thing. I think that the main thing, how we got the job, they got to know us beforehand, but this particular supervisor didn't really know us. But when we went out on the run and saw how appropriate the boys were, this was a job that no one who is currently an employee wanted to take on, because it is a hard job. It's, you're out in all kinds of weather every week. We deliver the paychecks, and we do other errands for them. We have to, once in a while they'll have us pick up gift cards from other gas stations. They'll have us make special deliveries to other places. So it is kind of a little bit of a hard job.
Like I said, many of you are working training sites, training positions, and volunteer jobs. And I asked Consuelo what advice she would give students that are working a training site or volunteering and maybe getting an employer-paid position out of the volunteer experience.
Well, I think they should be, always. I think that, like I said, I think what sold the Family Shelter Services on the guys was their ability to be polite, their ability to follow directions, they're just being willing and able to do whatever they were asked to do. I think that was the big selling point, that they were appropriate in the community, they weren't just goofing around, they were doing what they were supposed to do, and that they were always, always so polite to everyone. Opening doors, saying thank you, saying excuse me if they had to bump into somebody. That, I think, was the big selling point, that they were nice guys. I think that comes down to that. They were just nice guys. They were, appropriate always in the community. That was the big selling point, I think. Be really nice to everybody, smile. That really is a big selling point when it comes to people hiring you.
Hi, I'm Janine Olson. On this QC Tip of the Week, I will be discussing with you how to mentally prepare yourself for an interview. When you get called for an interview, it can be a very exciting yet stressful time. You are excited about being asked to meet face-to-face with your potential employer, yet you are nervous you won't make a lasting impression. First, you must realize it is perfectly normal to have these feelings, but in order to be successful, you need to learn how to take advantage of the situation. When you are called for an interview, it is because the employer is already interested in you and wants the opportunity to get to know you better. You need to give the best impression of yourself. You can do this by being calm and confident. Staying calm will allow you to be able to listen to the questions being asked and be able to respond. Easier said than done, right? Not necessarily. There are some steps that you can take that may make you feel more prepared and ultimately more calm and confident. First off, do your research. Learn about the company and their policies. Use the internet or ask friends who have been or are currently employed. When you do this, make sure that your sources are reliable. You wouldn't want to give inaccurate information when sitting in an interview. You can also practice for an interview. Go through common questions that might be asked at an interview and think about how you might answer them. You could start by having family members interview you. You may even want to find a teacher or a school counselor to do a practice interview. Some questions that you may want to be prepared for are: tell me a little bit about yourself. Why do you want to work here? What experience do you have that would make you a good candidate for this job? what are some of your strengths? And what are some of your weaknesses? Also, be prepared for questions that start out with, tell me about a time. For example, tell me about a time you had to take initiative. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult situation. If they ask you a question you have not practiced answering, don't panic. Stay calm and just remember to think before you speak. Don't ever lose sight of the fact that you are in an interview, and the individuals interviewing you are trying to determine if you are a good candidate. Focus on your etiquette. Be polite to all employees you encounter before, during, and after your interview. Sit up straight. Keep your feet on the floor. Make eye contact and be positive. Make sure you get a full night's sleep the night before an interview. Sleep deprivation can affect your appearance and make it difficult to think clearly. When it's time to finally go to the place of your interview, be there a little bit early. This will give you one last opportunity to mentally prepare yourself. And before you leave your car, check your appearance in your visor mirror. When you walk in early, it will show your future employer that you are prompt and eager to get started. Good luck. This has been your QC Step Tip of the Week.
All right, well, that does it for the 13th episode of the QC Step Podcast. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And by doing that, you get the job leads as soon as we get them. You don't have to wait until the Monday blog post or the podcast episodes on Tuesdays to get the job leads. If there is a topic that you would like covered in a QCStep.com tip of the week, or just in an interview or something like that, you can contact us through the website, or you can email info@qcstep.com. And if you're a teacher and you would like to do a QC Step Tip of the Week, send me an email. I'd like to hear from you. Thank you for listening, and we will be back next week with another episode of the QC Step Podcast.